How did the Celtics beat the Cavs? Is this really all about location? Can LeBron regain his energy for Game 6? The only question left is, say it with me, you win. Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show / podcast / well, I guess we call this the NBA conversation with me. I'm Coach Nick, and this is Dave Dufour with me, as always. A spirited game in the Garden, and again, it's like I want to just beat my head against the microphone here because I just don't understand how we can have Jekyll and Hyde on the road at home. It literally is a different team. And can you remember another team that was exactly like this? Because I can't.
I've never seen it. It's both teams. It's not just the Cavs, but Boston's the same way. I've never seen two teams look so different based on where they are. I mean, it is insane. And maybe this is just what it comes down to when you've got this sort of parity between teams. Like, obviously, they're two really closely, as far as matched teams, being in a 7-game series, and right now it's 3-2.
Right.
Maybe this is just what that looks like, and we haven't seen that in forever. But it's really weird. It's really weird.
And like, okay, we can get it. They rely on the young players on the Boston side at least. Although Al Horford, I kind of wanted to check what his stats were in Game 4 because I thought he was a little wimp in Game 4. He just came out like a rookie. And
Rozier and Brown were not good. Again, offensively, I mean, they were combined 7 for 30 from the field and 3 for 15 from 3.
But like he was in the Game 4, he was just like tentative and he was just kind of indecisive. At least in this game tonight, right? For Al Horford, he was more decisive and he tried to make plays that were going to help the team. Like it just felt that way, right? To some degree, better, and then certainly defensively as well. So here's the other question: is the Cavs scored 83 points. They looked terrible offensively. Is it the defense? Did you feel like it was really the defensive pressure of the Celtics that were taking them out of their game?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. But listen, my main question is, so Kyle Korver played 19 minutes in this game. He didn't play at all in the first quarter. Yeah. This is where every conversation about this game, so if you listen to any other podcast, if they don't start here, I don't know, maybe they just didn't pay attention. Right. But the truth is, if the Cavs somehow lose this series, to me, you can point to that moment, that first quarter, as the main reason. How come Ty Lue did not play Kyle Korver in the entire first quarter?
Right.
He's been their second best player in the series.
Boston won the quarter 32-19, and I think there's a subtext here when you're talking about why Kyle Korver is not in. Right, we're really talking about why is J.R. Smith in, right?
Well, I mean, sort of. It's like, how about Jeff Green? You know what I mean? Are you telling me that Kyle Korver hasn't been better than Jeff Green? Right. Jeff Green played 26 minutes tonight. Now, Korver played 19, but a lot of them when the game was out of hand in the fourth already.
Wait, you know what? I was looking you're right. He played under 20 minutes, yes. Yeah, and by the way, you look at Jeff Green's numbers, and it's like, okay, 3 for 4, 8 points, but he had one of the worst turnovers I've seen. I don't know. I wonder if they charged him with a turnover on that bad LeBron pass that hit him like in the shoulder and bounced away. I don't know, but either way, you're right. Kyle Korver, but even independent of that, Kyle Korver puts a lot more pressure on the defense no matter what.
Absolutely, and Boston has a hard time keeping up with Kyle Korver. He's so active. There was one play tonight. He missed a contested three. Cleveland gets a rebound, and Korver has already run himself into being open, and he makes the next one. And so, this is the sort of stuff that Kyle Korver does that it was going unsung, and maybe that's part of the problem is they got too much attention in the last game. But he's just been so huge for them in the series. It was just befuddling to me that he didn't play in the first quarter.
It is. And now here's the thing, because I got to try and put my Ty Lue hat on for a second. I have to imagine they're looking at Tatum and Brown are out there, and he'd have to guard one of those two. And they're like, we don't like that. We don't want to deal with that kind of.
But he's done it the last 2 games.
Right. And he did get some blocks. He looked good in Game 4. Yeah. So, but listen, hey, don't yell at me, man. I know I look like Ty Lue.
I'm worked up about this because I really do think like it was. I mean, I'm not going to call it criminal because that's an over exaggeration, but it is really bad. Like unbelievable to me that Kyle Korver, who is like I said, probably been the second best player for the Cavs. Didn't play the whole entire first quarter. And I'm not the only one to notice this, right? Like, I mean, all of Cavs Twitter was on this. So there's something weird there. If that's not the first question asked tonight in the press conference, right, someone's not doing their job.
Yeah, and I already texted somebody who's going to be in the room for the Celtics side. I said, ask Al Horford, what the hell, man? Why are you a 10, 12-year veteran, also suddenly off and on the road and the home either, as well? That was my first burning question for the Celtics side. But yes, it's really crazy what's going on here. And is your laundry done?
Yeah, my laundry is finished. Yeah, someone in the chat brought up my laundry.
Okay.
I agree. I think there's a lot of weird stuff in this series, and it starts with the kind of discrepancy between the home and road performances. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
We have H Cantrell 10 asks, is Marcus Morris the fourth or fifth best starter on the team? And I did tweet out, by the way, that if your name is Marcus, chances are I'm going to be frustrated with your offensive game to some degree. And it starts with Marcus Morris without question. Although he did do okay. It's just when he starts doing those ISO moves like he is, Kobe or something, it just drives me nuts, right? Like that's sort of what he thinks he is.
He tried to who was switched out onto him. I think it was Kevin Love, and he tried to put him in the mixer and lost the ball out of bounds and just
and he got blocked. I think it was. Anyway, he was 5 for 13 with 13 points. So that's not very good. But by the way, the Celtics shot terrible. They were 36.5% from the field and 33% from three on 39 attempts. So I guess we'll be remiss if we go too far without talking about the star of the game, Jason Tatum. Because this kid, man, he started out like, definitely not like a rookie. The home cooking really helped him a lot. He was hitting shots, looking aggressive, doing that mellow imitation, I suppose.
He's getting to the point where when he steps into a three, I expect it to go in. And I mean, when he gets a chance to really just step into it or take that little rhythm dribble, I expect him to hit every single one of those. And I'm amazed that we've got a rookie doing this in the conference final. It's kind of incredible. Yeah,
it really is, and it's great. It's really incredible. It's just exciting. I like that story. I like watching a rookie get thrust into the spotlight. We had doubts, I think, in the beginning of the year about him, and then he just blossoms, develops. He's got a great coach, a great system. They know how to attack, at least at home. So yeah, he's going to be very key. If they can get something out of him like they did tonight, then they win Game 6. I mean, I think it's clear. We said it 10 times already. The Celtics are a better team. The Cavs have the best player, but the Celtics have the better team.
Absolutely.
There's a question real quick. Let's clear it up for C. McCombs. Anyone know if the Cavs win Game 6? Will they be back in Boston for Game 7? Yes. It's a 2-2-1-1-1 format throughout the whole playoffs now. And so they will be back in Boston. They have a better record in the regular season. So, and by the way, that's just huge for them because Game 6 shouldn't have as much pressure on the Celtics. Maybe that's what's going to loosen it up. I cannot remember what happened in Game 6. Obviously, they lost it, right, against Milwaukee?
Yes, they lost it.
So, you know what? We had maybe a quick check to see what happened there. Do you remember if that was a close game or not? Yikes.
I can't remember. It was like 7 years ago. I know. First round of the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that it matters. Here's what I know. In this series, they did not play well in Cleveland. Either game.
Right.
Can they put one game together on the road? And I mean, you would think they could. But this is, I think, on the road is where they show how much they miss Kyrie Irving and his ability to create looks when the offense is sputtering. And it's going to be tough. I mean, Terry Rozier hasn't had a good game now in 3 games. Right. He's just not getting it done. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about starting Marcus Smart instead?
Well, here's the thing. They changed the starting lineup and they put Baines in. And we let's talk about Baines for 1 second because he is like a revelation for them. They go Absolutely. Big. And, when Baines switches out, and they were doing their switching thing to get Rozier off of LeBron. And by the way, we have to light the offense on fire by the Cavs in a second. But, Baines is big and mobile enough that LeBron isn't going to try and back him down. Right. I don't know. I mean, this isn't the secret, right? LeBron hates contact. He doesn't like initiate. At least if it's a guy his size or bigger, he doesn't like that at all. So he's not doing that. Now, they did do some nice things. They found Love on a deep three, and they found a cutter before that. So they were doing some things to adjust to that. But clearly, that's having an effect. And he's protecting the rim, and he's getting tip-ins, and he's doing nice things. So the Baines thing has been a thing. So he'll start for sure, right?
Yeah. Oh, well. So the Cavs went to our counter, which was to go big, with Game 3. And then they did that Game 3, Game 4, and they were successful. The Celtics now counter again, go big themselves. I think the next step is for them to start smart and say, you know what, we're going to side with defense over theoretical offense, because right now Terry Rozier isn't giving them that theoretical offense.
One thing that might help Terry Rozier shoot better is having better vision. And if you have contact lenses that help you see better, then you must check out Simple Contacts. It's an incredible way to take a 5-minute eye exam on your phone. Upload the results so their doctors can review and write your prescription. Imagine how much time and money you save by avoiding the doctor's office. Their customer support is excellent and guarantees 100% satisfaction with updates on your orders as a text right to your phone. Simple Contacts offers all brands of lenses you're familiar with, especially if you're into multifocal lenses or different colors. While this isn't a replacement for your periodic full-eye health exam, it's the best way to order contact lenses. And best of all, act now and you'll save $30 off your first order if you use my code CoachNick at checkout. Or just visit simplecontacts.com/CoachNick and you'll get our special B-ball breakdown discount and the convenience of better vision. You do risk, getting Terry Rozier in his head and losing confidence and yada yada. That's a possibility because he's a young guy. We don't know how he's going to react to that.
That's true.
So we'll see. I don't know. I wonder if they're going to mess with too much. I think that's the other problem is you kind of start to tinker and you get kind of concerned and a little bit you go overboard. But interesting, maybe. Or certainly maybe a shorter leash and get Marcus Morris in more quickly. Marcus Smart. Smart only played 23 minutes. So you're right. He should be playing more anyway. Although, actually, he went 5 for 9. In my mind's eye, he was worse than that. But he did shoot well from the three-point land and stuff. So he is that guy. So interesting, but I don't think it's going to happen, but they might do that. So should we turn to some questions here and see if there's any good comments that we can react to?
Yeah, let's do it.
How fat is Danny Ainge? She's not that fat. Come on, man. If there is a Game 7 with the Celtics... we already asked that one. Let's see here. Horford could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, and he wouldn't get called for the foul. Okay, let's talk about the fouls for a second, shall we?
Sure. I don't know, man. I've stopped paying attention.
Fair enough. But I want you to know, I had both set of fans screaming bloody murder in my timeline. They both felt like they should have been getting calls.
It's every game.
Yeah.
It's every game. And the truth is, the refs miss calls, and they always have, and they always will, because they're human beings. And unless it's egregious. Like, for instance, Kevin Love's first 2 fouls were both bad calls, especially that second one.
Yeah.
And now that changes the complexity of the game. Now, the Cavs were already on their way to losing the quarter, but Ty Lue then sat him on the bench forever.
Yeah.
Again, this letting the fouls dictate your rotations thing, like we all should know better by now.
Right. And we saw that with Curry as well in that crucial second quarter last night as well. So, and by the way, we talked about that. Curry ended up with 3 fouls. He had 3, and then he didn't get any more. So
Kevin Love wound up with 2.
Go figure. Now, because Kevin Love's interesting. He's a bigger guy, maybe a little bit slow. You get worried that he's going to get wrapped up down there and getting some cheap fouls. But interesting that he didn't do that. Now, was Kevin Love playing a lot less aggressive then, and that's why he didn't get him, and it hurt the team overall because of that?
I didn't think so. I actually think he did a really good job protecting the rim. He had a couple of blocks down there. Right at the basket. So he was really aggressive. I just think that, again, man, this is classic overcoaching to me.
Yeah, and they're not getting anything from anybody else, really. And I took a lot of crap, by the way, I did a video. I didn't have a lot of time, so I kind of had to do a quick thing focusing on LeBron. And I said that, LeBron was the only guy to show up in Game 4. And I got a lot of people really upset at me, but I was like, all right, so Kyle Korver, he played okay, and he did some nice defensive things and stuff. But, and then, Tristan Thompson was Tristan Thompson. But you look at this game, in Game 5, other than Kevin Love, who didn't get enough shots either, and probably because of the foul trouble and the sitting, look, they got, very little from everybody. Yeah. Now, Jordan Clarkson woke up a little bit.
Right.
But it was one of those things where, well, you know what? It's that guy where he makes a couple shots and you're like, oh, no, that means he's going to shoot more.
Absolutely. Like his poor decision making starts to show up.
Yeah.
So, that's the trick. I mean, someone asked us, what was it, a couple nights ago, if the Isaiah Thomas for Nance and Clarkson trade was a mistake in hindsight. And no. I mean, it's still a couple of younger legs, which this team needed. And they need a guy like Clarkson, in theory at least. And he played well in stretches during the regular season. But, no, I still think it was the right call.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that. Isaiah Thomas needed to go.
Yeah.
When you start yelling at that guy, when you start yelling at the guy who's got anxiety issues, it's hard to repair that locker room, I would say. How fatigued would you say? Brother Walton asks, how fatigued would you say LeBron is, and how do you involve him in the action in the next 2 games? Great question. And again, we've been saying he's looked exhausted for a long time now, and yet he'll reel off an amazing block and then a score and whatever. So it almost doesn't matter. But this was the first game, right, where we really saw him disjointed. Now, when he came back in the fourth quarter, they didn't play him in the beginning of the fourth, which they would have normally done with that score. And he did not look like he wanted to, attack the basket at all. It was very strange. And I'm trying to think, he was aggressive in the first 3 quarters, right?
I mean, not really. He looked out of it. Honestly, he looked really tired. And it was one of these things where I think I was in the third quarter, maybe like 3.5 minutes to go, and I was just feeling like they should pull him for the rest of the quarter, and then let's see what the rest of the guys can give you. And if they can get it close, well, then you get him back in there in the fourth. But otherwise, you just sit him, because he really does. He just looks beat. And at this point in the season, remember, he played all 82 games. He's played I think he averaged 40 minutes a game during regular season. He's playing 44 to 46 minutes a night in the playoffs. It is just absolutely insane.
And they're hard minutes. They're taxing minutes. Everywhere he goes, he's got at least one guy on him and a guy behind that guy waiting for him, which, by the way, kind of makes you wonder, this also reflects very poorly on Toronto. I hate to say it, but it does. You know what I mean? When you watch the game plan, how they're defending him, how they're playing him, and you see what Toronto did, it's like, and Toronto has, similar athletes they could have used to do this. Right?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it is. It definitely is not looking great in hindsight.
Right. Eric for three, bang. I think it's Eric for 3, bang. Is Jason Tatum better than Hayward already? I mean, come on. Have we already forgotten that Hayward's an all-star?
Yeah, I think, again, man, he's been out all year. That's long enough for people to forget. And this team is, I was saying this, I think last night, I don't see how Boston isn't the favorite to come out of the East next year.
Oh, absolutely.
They are looking loaded.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, it's going to be a real challenge to deal with bringing back Hayward and Kyrie. You know what I mean? It's going to be really hard to figure that out because they've already got this stuff. Now, Rozier, like we said the other night, this will be good for Rozier, I think, because, I think or I don't know if I said it with you, but either way, the notion that I think he's going to realize, you know what, I'm good, and I've proven that I could play this level, but I don't think I'm starter good on a deep playoff team yet. So let's get Kyrie in here. Let me get some more experience. Let me see that, Kyrie might get injured again. We never know, so he'll get another shot either way. So I'm thinking that it might not be a big issue with Rozier to kind of be like, hey, I do need a little extra seasoning either way. So that won't be a problem. Now, and then you have, what do you have? You have Kyrie, Brown, Tatum, Horford.
Hayward. Marcus Morris.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the starting 5.
Oh. Yeah, my assumption it would be Kyrie, Hayward, Brown, Tatum, Horford. And then, they got to re-sign Marcus Smart. They got to figure that out. They really need to bring back Baines because he's been really great for them. Yeah.
Rozier. That you can run with that 8, and then Morris is 9. If you get that, you can run with that. And we're missing somebody else.
Well, I mean, and they've got guys like Semi Ojeleye and Yabusele, and I mean, they're just loaded. They're loaded.
They're very well balanced. They have a lot of good players. So and they'll have all year hopefully being healthy to kind of develop. It's not gonna be like Dwayne Wade, LeBron in Miami first year, but you're gonna have some tug of war. I would imagine there. Now again, a guy like Gordon Hayward is complimentary too, so he could blend in. And then Kyrie is going to be the man, I'd imagine.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. Did you see Steve Kerr's post-game 4 comments? Sounds like ISO ball wins. Oh, did I see that? I think he acknowledged that, like, yeah, they were ISOing too, and we showed that in the breakdowns. That's from Chrono Shifter. It's a really troubling thing. I'm doing the breakdown right now. I'm going to finish it right away, right after I record this, the breakdown from last night's game. And I don't know. I'm really troubled by this whole ISO versus team ball thing that we're moving towards. Now, I get it. In the playoffs, you want to isolate the worst defender and attack that. But you need to be able to have your offense flow into that, don't you?
I mean, you would hope. I do think the way the Rockets were doing it in the game last night was actually the right way, where it's ISOing into a driving kick. So when that help comes, you're finding the open man, and this is what the Warriors weren't really doing. They were settling for a lot of contested shots, and give the Rockets defense credit for not switching everything. And I think that's not switching is the new switching. Right, like picking your spots to when to switch is the way that teams should be switching. Like we're starting to see the correction where the Warriors get away with switching everything because of the fact that they have like 4 amazing defenders on the court at any time.
Right.
I think that what the Rockets did yesterday was a pretty good blueprint offensively for how you can attack that and still ISO, but still have like a team element to what you're doing.
I agree, and also what they need to do is, and you could see Steph Curry trying to get it to happen. It's not always working, and maybe they just need to practice more. Is getting Curry off of whoever is going to guard screen for Harden. And there was one moment, and I think I'm going to show this in the video, where he like switches 3 times in a row because all the 3 guys like in a train were going to go up the screen for Harden, and it kind of foils it. Takes a little extra time off the clock, and then if they actually do have to switch Curry onto him, if there's less than 8 seconds to go, that's a little bit easier for them to manage. So. They need to figure something out there just because it isn't great. Now, I don't know if you saw, I did tweet out the number of possessions that Curry got scored on. So when he was out there, they scored on, I want to say, I got to look at the tweet again, but it's something like 30 possessions. And he gave up points in 5 of those possessions for 12 points. That's not crazy. It's like 18% of the possessions. Yeah. It's probably about, if you think there's 5 players out there, it's about what it should be. And yet the narrative, right, is that he's getting roasted every single time. So what do you make of that? I don't think he is.
No, I mean, look, man, your job as a defender is to force the guy into the toughest shot possible, right? Like you're at a natural disadvantage as a defensive player, right? Every offensive player with any sort of skill has an advantage, right? That's the nature of basketball. So, this is why, like, I think people watched Kevon Looney play defense, and James Harden in that first game, of the series was like 4 of 6, and they were like, "Oh, well, Looney obviously can't guard him." And I was like, "Well, you didn't watch? You just looked at the numbers."
Right.
When you watch him, he was forcing him to help. He was doing his job. He was staying in front of him, forcing him into, contested floaters and fadeaways, and Harden was hitting tough shots. That's your job as a defender. And so as long as you're doing that, who cares, right? Like, I mean, guys are going to hit shots at a rate that, as long as you're not giving up 70% all the time, then there might be a problem, right? Like maybe there's a length issue or whatever. But, I think that it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what good defense actually looks like, especially on the perimeter. At the rim, we know you make the guy miss or you block the shot, okay, or you adjust the shot, make him change the shot. Okay, we can see that, but on the wing, I think people just don't understand what they're looking for.
Right, and I also it vaguely reminds me of like when we used to ask high school players how much of the clock time do you think you actually had the ball in your hands, and they'd always say I don't know, like 10 minutes, 9 minutes, or whatever. I'm like, are you crazy? The game is 32 minutes. Each team's got it for only 16, roughly. Right now, there's 5 players, so you might have, if only 5 players played, you might have it for like 2, right? And so I feel like it's the same thing when they see Curry get scored on a few times. And it's like, oh, he's getting scored on every time, and it's 25 points a game he's giving up, and it's not even close. Then, so he gives up the 12 points, he scores 27, and now you're like, yeah, great, that's exactly what you need from him to win. And so, and if they hadn't done a couple of really dumb things down the stretch, they would have won that game, and we would have been talking about Chris Paul, not being able to get to the finals, and we would have been talking about D'Antoni's offense can't win, that whole thing. So it's amazing how a couple bounces here or there do that to you.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Is anybody asking any good questions here? Do you see anything?
Nope.
No? Are you looking?
Yeah, I've been watching the whole time.
Oh, is J.R. Smith a starting NBA guard? I saw that somewhere from wherever you guys were. I never thought he was. That was from Sean Day's Josh 1. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say that he should be starting in the conference finals, but who are they going to start over him?
He's got a ring, so,
yeah.
But, yes, I don't think he ever – I would never want that guy to rely on that guy. He's just too all over the place. So I don't think I just don't think he is, and through the power of LeBron, he won a ring. But I think that we're seeing the macro sense of how it doesn't really work. Jason Ragland asks, if Houston loses the series, isn't it the logical choice for LeBron if not a LA Lakers super team? Yeah, can Houston even pull that off?
They would have to do some funky stuff to make it happen. But Daryl Morey can make anything happen. This is what I've learned.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. No follow up there. Yes, he could, and they'd have to gut the whole team though, and they'll have to get some of those guys to take like the veteran minimums and yada yada. But if you have James Harden, Chris Paul, and LeBron James in the same team, I don't know. Does that cover all the bases? Probably.
Yeah, but does that how much
Capella?
does that move the needle? Yeah, I mean, but can they keep Capella? Right? Capella's going to probably be the number one center this summer, I would guess. Not that the center market's great, but
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, why did the Cavs abandon the LeBron ISO on Rozier at the top of the key? Someone's been watching my videos or reading the tweets. We talked about this for a long time because we didn't get about I want to talk about the Cavs offense. What happens out there? Why do they abandon the things that work? It's weird, right? Like, it just happens for long stretches where they just don't seem to know how they want to get these shots. And that's exactly why I think the role players really struggle too, is because there isn't any rhythm or any sense of like continuity or flow. Do you have an explanation for that? Or are you noticing that?
I have no idea why they do it. I mean, their elbow actions generate really good offense, and they seem to abandon that for large stretches, and I have not figured it out. So, it's weird. I don't know.
By the way, and on the flip side, the Celtics got a lot of great stuff out of horns. And
right.
they were getting, high post entry and then some action and some movement, which they probably went to that more just because they knew they were so stagnant in the game before. And they better remember that in Game 6 on the road because they're going to need handoffs. They're going to need just a basic structure to get them into some more flow and movement. Because once they get the Cavaliers defense moving a little bit, they get seams, they can get some shots. Chrono Shifter asks, do you teach players to run to the ref's face if they don't call a timeout? Great example, like how Draymond Green, and people wanted to blame the refs for not calling the timeout. Draymond Green was at midcourt. The play was happening in the corner. That was the final shot with only 5 seconds to go. You have to go over to the ref, tap him on the shoulder, do whatever you got to do to signal the timeout. It's not the ref's thing to be able to scan the entire floor 180 degrees and see everything.
Yeah.
So do you teach that? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you talk about it, right?
I do. I talk about making sure the ref can see the time. Right? Like, I mean, you can't just lean over on top of the ball trying to call a timeout. And I've seen players do that, especially, lower levels where you may only have two referees. The timeout has to be visible and audible. And, I mean, other players on the court, everybody's got to be calling timeout if it's that crucial, right? If one guy starts calling timeout, everyone's calling timeout.
Oh. Yes, as I'm almost about to spill my water. Don't drink
including
and type and everything. Yes.
Yeah. And
great
Kerr
point.
Not calling a timeout. I mean, I don't think it was a mistake. I mean, we talked about this last night, so I don't want to sit here and rehash it. But I thought that when KD had the ball and sort of hesitated pushing it, that was the time to call the timeout. Not even when Klay got stuck. That one's the obvious one. But for me, it was when KD hesitated to push the ball up court and back court. It's like 11 seconds left or something like that. That would have been the ideal time.
Yeah, I guess. Because, by the way, interestingly enough, if they called it where Klay had it, then they're inbounding in a bit of a weird spot.
Absolutely.
And that's another interesting dilemma, or not, but either way. So it was a foobar, to say the least.
Yeah.
Wasn't Calderon surprisingly good for the Cavs? Why not try him out? So, like, you could get Calderon in there instead of, like, J.R. Smith minutes, give him 10 minutes. I'm all for it, man.
You got to try something. Their back's against the wall now. And this is an interesting position to see a LeBron James team in. But I mean, it just feels like they're just going to go back to Cleveland, and anything we said tonight doesn't matter. And this has been one of the most frustrating playoffs for that, because this Cavs team has been up and down, and in this series in particular, both teams going back and forth. We get a garbage game and a good game, and it's really hard to do analysis when the disparity looks like this, because Cleveland's going to go home. They're going to run all their good stuff. Everybody's going to hit shots, and somehow Boston's not going to be able to score.
Right.
And then we're going to be like, well, remember we said a couple games ago. This is the weirdest series I can remember.
Oh, I know. Again, and it's going back to this notion of like the home and away thing, and the Jekyll and Hyde. So we'll have to see. But I'm excited. We got Friday night game, Game 6 in Cleveland. I mean, damn, I want to go to that game, but I'm not going to. But nonetheless, and then we have tomorrow, Game 5, a big game. That one will probably decide the series, and it's going to be in Houston, so it's going to be rough for the Warriors. Your call still stands. Warriors going to win that series?
So okay, I still think that they're the better team, but if they're going to play like they played last night, especially in the fourth quarter, where they really did, like, they were initiating their offense 30 feet from the basket with KD. They really kind of abandoned the high pick and roll. I really don't. I don't know what it's going to take to see some Steph Curry KD pick and roll, which we know is kryptonite to every other team's defense.
Yeah.
So until we can see that, again, you almost have to throw out anything that you believe, because they're just not doing the things that they're good at. Meanwhile, Houston did a great job of forcing Golden State away from stuff that they wanted, taking advantage of their kind of lackadaisical defensive effort, and then being able to score. I mean, this is what they brought Chris Paul in for. James Harden was great in the second quarter and was not good in the second half. Chris Paul picked up the slack and had his best half of the series. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to go to Houston and win Game 5. But I think that the Game 5 winner probably winds up winning the series. And it's kind of crazy to say that.
Yeah, no, it's not crazy. I think that's going to be it. And I think that's why you got to be worried if you're a Warriors fan, because it's in Houston, and that's when they're going to play well. They're going to get their role players playing pretty well. So we'll have to see. But either way, I still feel like the Celtics are going to win their series. They have the Game 7 at home. I know you can't bet against LeBron in the Game 7, but it's just there's more evidence in my mind that the Celtics are better, and that if they're at home, they can win those games. But I'm thinking that they're going to lose in Cleveland and come back for Game 7, right?
It feels like it. It feels like they're just going to keep trading these home wins.
Right. So that means they'll come back for Sunday Game 7, and then we'll be at it right after that game.
That's right.
All right, cool. Well, great show, everybody. Great questions in the comments. We'll get this up as a podcast pretty quickly, and stay tuned. I'm going to finish this damn Game 4 breakdown from last night, as I'm so busy running around today. So don't miss that. And anything else, Dave?
No.
All right.
I think that's it.
All right, you're just wandering around the streets of San Antonio.
Okay, I got an answer from Ty Lue, by the way.
Okay.
Ty Lue says that the Celtics threw the Cavs for a loop by not playing Semi Ojeleye. Lue says he didn't play Kyle Korver during the first because Ojeleye, who's Korver's matchup, didn't check in. That makes absolutely no sense.
Nope. Now, let me say this. The one guy that's doing really well against Korver is Brown. He's long, he's quick, he gets around those screens. He goes under the screen and he still challenges. So I can see why they don't want to put him in with Brown out there, and I guess that's sort of the Ojeleye connection, right? Like Ojeleye comes in, Brown goes out. But yeah, that's weird. That's overthinking it, don't you think?
Yeah.
Oh, why does Ojeleye get any kind of credit for that? That seems weird.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
No sense whatsoever. Okay.
Anyway, well, good stuff. Way to end that. We'll end on that note. But great stuff. We'll be right back here again after tomorrow's game, I guess, right, Dave?
Yes, we will.
All right, cool. Well, thank you all for joining us. Great show. Dave, we'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? You in, Dave?
Yes, I am.